Hi, I'm Hennah. Most of you know me from media, but now I want to come into your space and your living rooms and your life and share a different perspective. This show that's going to bring you several episodes in this series will be all about politics, economy, lifestyle change, and what's happening not just in our cities but in the rural areas as well. In this episode, we talked to retired General Jerry Singirok, who launched his book just last night. So, General, why did you write this book, A Matter of Conscience?
I had to write this very important book because it is my story. It is my story because I need to leave a written record and documentations of my life, not only as a soldier, but as a leader, as a father, as a grandfather, because I was put in a very, very sensitive and pivotal position with a lot of attention, with a lot of criticism, not only against the military but also against the government, a series of government as to how Bougainville was handled. And I also realized that there was not enough writing. In fact, there's hardly any writing. Because I enjoy reading and writing. It's part of my hobby. So it was important for me to tell my story. It is really my story, but in the process, it is our story. Yeah. It's story of how I journeyed out of my home village on a small island many years ago to have excelled in my career. And it was important that I write this story also as a motivating factor for children who are raised in the village, a rural community.
What resources did you draw upon to write this book, and how long did this project take you?
Serious writing took place about 2015, but I've kept my records for about 22 years, and I was not short of references, reading materials. There's one thing that I have, and I think it's a treasure, is that I keep a diary. So I got my diaries backdating to maybe 25 years ago, and I treasure them as valueless but a very important key part of my life. So it's important that I document what I encounter on a day-to-day basis, who I speak to, what sort of incidents that I've encountered, that I have seen, or was much part of. Yeah.
And what are the main lessons that you feel Papua New Guinea can take from this experience?
What I intend to achieve for the next generation is to learn from the lessons that I have gone through. And some of the features of the book is that when I was appointed as a very, very young commander, I was the youngest commander in the history of the PNG, 38 going 40. I was not prepared for that appointment. But that's one thing aside. But when I was ordered to engage and deploy with a mercenary organization, Africans, to deploy into Bougainville, I say that our government structure, there are no series of national security committee. There is no structure in order to filter the government's direction. And therefore, I was left vulnerable. The only people who wanted me to deploy with Africans into Bougainville was only the Prime Minister and certain selected members of the cabinet. So I was not protected. I was just thrown at the deep end of the pool. So what I'm advocating in my book is that if any Papua New Guinean, let alone a chief executive of a government institution or a state enterprise, before they execute executive orders or instructions, they have to audit, they have to analyze. They've got to be sensitive about the implications of the directions that they're getting. In the military, it's called superior orders. We have to understand the implication of the superior orders. And in my case, because only one member of the cabinet committed a 38 million US committed the state by engaging a foreign entity, let alone a mercenary outfit. There was nobody to prevent the minister from behaving, I believe, in a very criminal manner by committing the state. And when I was asked to deploy, there was nobody who could come to my assistance. There was no opposition on the floor of Parliament to debate and to vote whether the engagement of Senland was constitutional or unconstitutional. I mean, those sets of procedures were negated, they were avoided to achieve a political expedience for the benefit of one or two handful of politicians. So my example, or my lesson that I've learned out of my book is that future Papua New Guineans who are in very, very important positions must continue to ask themselves some important questions. Is this directive or instructions, is it competent? Is it lawful? Is it constitutional? If not, how can we address such direction back to the superior orders? People said, hey, this is not right. Let us analyze without any penalty. It's an important process that has to take place.
And we'd like to say a special thank you to retired Major General Jerry Singirok for his time to do this interview. If you would like to purchase a copy, you can find it at Officeworks at 6 Mile in Port Moresby or online at Amazon Books or Booktopia. Join us again next week for another edition of Hennah's Corner.